Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do something that I am surprised that I haven't done yet, and that is go over all of the manga that I have read. How many series have I read? How many individual volumes of manga have I read? How much have I read in French? How much have I read in Japanese, etc. We're going to go over all of that today because why not? So in terms of how many series I read, it turns out that I have read 53 individual series. Now, when I say series, I do mean like series that, for example, like 1 to 4, that go from like 1 to 48, 1 to 50, etc., etc. But I also count standalones as their own series, just to make it easy for me to just create an easy figure to spit out you. So I've read 53 individual series. That comes out to having read 1,098 individual volumes of manga. And then in terms of the series, it turns out I have read 43 series in the original language of Japanese, and I've read 14 in the translation of French. Now, for those who aren't aware and wondering why I've read those books in French, especially since right now I'm speaking in English. Basically, I am French. French is my native language, although my English is stronger now. But French is my native language. And back in the day when I was growing up, the anime manga market in the US hadn't begun, basically. I am at that old. So it hadn't really begun yet. And France was the big leader in translation. And so, yeah, I read everything in French at that time. And then eventually I ended up learning Japanese. And now I read only in Japanese, except for one exception, which is the manga series for Detective Conan, because I started reading that series in French before I could speak Japanese. Somewhere in the middle, I ended up being able to read Japanese, but I didn't want to make the switch. So that is the only series that I still read in French, just for the sake of continuity. Although there is a little bit of regret because I did not think it would go over 100 volumes. Obviously, I did not think it would surpass 100 volumes when I first started that idea. But it is what it is. That's the only series that I still read in French. But yeah, everything else I read in Japanese. So I think in those 53 series, so I have written that I've read 53 series and I have 4 that I'm currently reading. I don't know if that 4 is included in the 53 anymore because I made this list a while ago. So I don't know if that actually means I'm currently reading 57 series. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's somewhere up there. But I am currently reading 4 series. That's because either I'm reading them a little bit as I go because it's not a full story arc, or it's because they're ongoing series. So in terms of currently reading, I'm still reading Ranma 1/2 because this series still has like little mini arcs, or it has a lot of like mini episodes. What I like to do is read like 3 or 4 volumes, basically until an arc or a story finishes on the last page. I'll read as many volumes as that takes, and then I take a break, and then I come back when I feel, because this is not a manga that I would enjoy binging, because it is a little bit of the same all the time. But if you just come in and out of it, like you get to go back into that world and have fun and then leave it again for a while and then come back. And for me, that's making it pleasurable. So this is the series that I'm still like halfway through. I've read 23 volumes out of like 38. So this is technically currently still reading. I'm also technically still currently reading Saint Seiya, because where did I put that? Oh, it's in my lap. I'm also currently reading Saint Seiya because, again, this is also something that it's fun and it's incredibly nostalgic for me to read, because I really, really loved this anime when I was a little kid. But it's not the best. It's not really the best story. It's incredibly repetitive and it's a little bit silly. So this is also a series that I wouldn't want to binge, because I think I wouldn't like it if I did. So I read the first arc, which I think is the Pegasus arc, and then I read the second arc, which was the Poseidon arc, and then I just have the last third arc that's waiting for me to finish. But this is, again, one of those things I don't want to binge it, because I don't think I would enjoy myself if I binged it. So I'm still currently reading Saint Seiya. And then I'm currently reading Goku Shifudo, but I decided well, okay, so Goku Shufudo, I'm actually caught up with the latest volume. This is volume 15. I haven't read volume 15, but volume 15 is the latest volume that came out recently. But this is a series, I'm on top of it. So basically, as soon as there's a new release, I buy it and I read it. So it's currently reading, but technically I've also finished it, which is why it's going to show up again under another list of books I'm reading. And then Detective Conan. Detective Conan, again, I'm caught up with the entire series as is, in the French translation. But because it's still ongoing, I'm still reading it. So there you go. All right. So in terms of actually completed series though, my main genre that I separate out from shonen is soccer manga. I love soccer manga. So let me tell you which series I have read. So I've read, oh my gosh, by the way, I took a single volume out of every single series I own, which is a really pain in the butt. I'm gonna hate myself when I have to put these back on the shelves because all my shelves are double stacked, which means I have to like go behind books to grab other books. So please appreciate this video. Please appreciate this video. So I have read the entire original series of Captain Tsubasa. I've read the entire series of Fantasista. I have read the entirety of the original series of Shoot, along with the entirety of its second sequel, which is Shoot Atsuki Chosen. I have not read the original. So basically, this is the second sequel. There's another sequel between the original series and this one, but that one actually goes back in times. It's like a sequel prequel to when the characters were in middle school, and I wasn't as interested in it, so I skipped this one. Will I go back and read that one someday? We'll see. But for now, I've read the second sequel of this. There's a third sequel I haven't read yet, but I will be buying it when I see it. Then the next soccer manga I've read in its entirety is Offsides. Then I have read the entire series of Whistle. Then I've also read the entire series of Erea no Kishi, The Night in the Area. All 57 volumes of it. This one's really long. A little bit too long. I remember getting a little tired of it towards the end, but I have read the entirety of Erea no Kishi. And then right now I am currently reading B Blues Ao ni Nare. So this series I'll be done by the time like in a month. So I added this in the list of series that I have finished. So B Blues is the last soccer manga that I am reading. There is one other soccer manga, but it's neither completed and it's neither currently reading. And that is the soccer manga called Oretachi no Fieldo, so Our Field, which shortened is Orefi. That is a series I owned it in the US, and then I moved to Japan before I could finish reading it. And then every time I go back to the US for the vacation, the last thing I want to do is like read Japanese. I want to do other stuff. So I haven't actually finished it. So good news, because I've only like, it's a pretty rare it's a pretty rare series to find. I've only seen it once being sold as a set in Japan within a used bookstore. I've never seen the individual volumes on sale for like 100 yen or whatever. So I finally, like a month ago, had the bright idea to look up Mercari, which is the Japanese version of what eBay is to the US. They also have eBay, but Mercari is the Japanese site. And a guy was selling it, and like he had just put it online to sell for like 4 days before I saw it. So I ended up buying it. So I rebought a series that I already owned. That's okay, because when I do read this, I can just resell it again. It'll be fine. But I was just like, you know what? This is stupid. Like I've been wanting to finish this series for ages. It's been 10 years now. This is stupid. So I just ended up rebuying it for a really good price. And so that is something we can all look forward to. But just to say that Oretachi no Fieldo is one of those series that I love this series, but I can't officially say that I've actually finished it because I never finished it. But I do love this soccer series. It's one of my favorites so far, as far as I've read. But this one's great because it's about the creation of the J League, which none of these is about. So it's really, really fun. So soccer manga, that's what I've read so far. Now, shonen manga is a category of manga. It's typically it's targeting young boys. It's a genre that I used to read a lot when I was young because that was the most popular genre before like translators started to branch out more. And so I don't read it as much these days, but this is what I've read. First, let's start off with what I've read that I own here in Japan. So I've read Cat's Eye by Tsukasa Hojo, who is the creator of City Hunter. So this was his series before City Hunter. Love this series. But Cat's Eye, I've read. I've read Black Cat, which I didn't really enjoy, but I read Black Cat. I've read Yu Yu Hakusho, of course. This is a great series. And I've read this in the original Japanese, and I also read this in the French translation. So first in French and then Japanese. So this was a reread. I think I reread this last year. It was so much fun to reread. It was great. Great series. Does not get old. And then recently, last year, I read the entirety of Dragon Ball, which was fantastic. Absolutely love. This was so good. And then the people don't like, maybe these days this might not be considered shonen, but this is actually technically shonen, and that is Me zo Ikoku. This is really funny, and I really love this. In terms of what I've read that I don't own here in Japan, I've read Ki ma gure orenji road. So Whimsical Orange Road, which is also a series that I really loved when I was young. I've read the entirety of Naruto. I've read the entirety of City Hunter. I've read the entirety of Samurai Deeper Kyo, which also means that I have read Rurouni Kenshin, although to be honest, I liked Samurai Deeper Kyo much better than Rurouni Kenshin. I know that's probably like, people are like, what's Samurai Deeper Kyo? But back then, I liked it better than Kenshin. I've read, okay, I have Hunter x Hunter on the list, but this one might not work out actually, because like, I read Hunter x Hunter until his major break, which is around the arc, the Chimera Ant arc of the series. And he had like, what, a 4-year break at that time, I think? And I just got tired of it, and I wasn't in love with Hunter x Hunter anymore, so I actually stopped reading it at that time, and I've never picked it up, and I haven't been, I haven't had desire to reread it. So technically it's completed. I'm going to leave it on the list as completed, that I have read Hunter x Hunter, even though I stopped midway through the Chimera Ant arc because I really disliked that arc. But I have read the entirety of Shaman King, including the unfortunate ending. I have read the original Yugioh series. I have not read any of the sequels, but the original Yugioh series I have read, and I really loved it. And then I've read Hikaru no Go, so very good series. Okay. So then we have shoujo manga. Shoujo manga, I haven't really read too many long series. I've read a lot of individual volumes. One series I have read though is Marmalade Boy. And then I've read a few of her standalones. So one is the Quartet game. And then she's done a few others that I actually don't remember if they're her or not, but I'll get into them when I'm later. But I've Marmalade Boy and the Quartet game. I've read the original entire series of Card Captor Sakura. I do own Card Captor Sakura, the clear card arc, but I haven't read that yet, but I do own it. I do own the entirety of it. And this was really cute, so that's why I bought the other one. So I'm really excited to read that one. Because yeah, this is really cute. It's actually really well done. Like I was surprised at how well done this was and how much it goes past the idea of just being a gross manga. Like it is a all demographic manga, I think personally. So I have read the entirety of Card Captor Sakura. I've read the entirety of Orange, the very dramatic, very sad Orange that everyone cries at. I have read the entirety of Orange, minus the very last. There's an extra volume which talks about them like 20 years in the future, but I'm not interested in that one. So I decided not to go for it. So I've read the entirety of 1 through 7. Then I've read Ayashi no Ceres. This is a great series, but I've read the original series of Ayashi no Ceres. There is a little bit of a sequel to it, and I started reading it, but I didn't like it, so I stopped. So I've read the original series of Ayashi no Ceres. Sorry, I'm holding up Fushigi Yugi. Fushigi Yugi, I've read the entirety of Fushigi Yugi, except for the little bit of the sequel. And then Ayashi no Ceres, which is by the same author, I've also read. I read the entirety of that one. Although I remember being pretty confused by it, but so it's something like I feel like I'd have to reread because I was actually confused when I read that one. Even though I read it in French, I was just like, I'm not quite sure what's going on. But Fushigi is great, absolutely fantastic. Also another manga that defies its target demographic. Anyone could read this and really love it. Then I've read like a lot of little singlets. E no Rekka, which isn't that good. It's, you know, it's one of those like little cute things, but it's not that great. It's just, I needed it for the train. I read it in like 30 minutes. It was done. Nothing to get excited about. I've read Orendi Rakuen. I've read Crystal Zensou-kyoku. I read those two because, again, they were the standalones of some of the shoujo manga authors that I've already read, so I decided to read some of their singles. I read the series Baby Love, which is kind of silly, but it's like standard shoujo manga. But that one was, I actually quite enjoyed that one. I do recommend it. It's older, but I do recommend it. There's the next series I actually really liked. It's also older, so you'd have to buy it used, but it's探偵レボリューション, so Detective Revolution, about this young girl detective, and I really liked it. I thought it was pretty cute and fun. She was a strong female character. There's no like ridiculous like love story. It's just really about her being a good, strong female character, which I really liked. Then I read Chimaro Hi ga no boru Machi, which is just a standard alone by the same author as the Tante Revolution. Not super exciting. And then the next 4 books I read, they're standalones, shoujo manga, when I first decided to start tackling native material in Japanese. So leaving the textbook Japanese, leaving the classroom Japanese, and finally reading native material that Japanese people would read. And these were manga that I actually had received from a Japanese friend of mine. She was getting rid of them, so I picked them up. And they are really easy to read. So it was actually a really great pickup. But it also means they're not that exciting. But they're good. They're good for beginners. But I mean, any shoujo manga is pretty much going to be good for beginners for the most part. At least with the standard like Nichijou type stuff. But I have Cheries ni Kanpai. I also have Kissして,超能力少女. I have one that's called My Boy X My Love. And then the last one, the easiest one and very good for beginners, is Manga miたいな恋したい. I want to have a love just like in manga. Like all 4, they're cute, they're fun. Like it's a good pickup. Like oh, I can read Japanese. Yay. Like it's good for that. So shoujo manga, I don't have too much to represent. I don't have like huge series. I do own some shoujo manga series. I just haven't read them yet. So I have to admit, I don't reach for them. I really don't reach for them. And I need to try because there is some good shoujo manga out there, but I just need to try. So after that, I have Nichijou manga. Although to be honest, I don't have as much as I thought I did. But I have one of my favorite artists, which is Pampanya, who does a lot of these single volumes. They don't do series, but because it's more like, it's almost like more like short stories than it is like an actual story arc. But this is Nippikime no Kingyo. That's the title of one of the stories within this. And Pampanya is absolutely incredible. Like what you see on the cover art, that's what you get in the actual manga. Like how incredible is that? Absolutely stunning. So yeah, that's a Nichijou manga that everyone should read. So anything by Pampanya, you're good to go. I've read the Nichijou manga, the 5 volumes of Kujima Utaeba Ie Hororo. This is super cute. I really like this. I am getting rid of it because it's almost too simple. I know I won't reread it, but it's just like the cover art again, and it's really just a quaint, super cute story. I have read all of the volumes of the very famous Yotsubato. This is, well, except for this one. This is the latest volume that just came out after, what was it, 3 years? 3 years of absence or 4 years of absence? Because he doesn't publish these regularly. He only does it when he feels it like it, I guess. I don't really know the backstory behind the mangaka, but Yotsubato, you gotta read it. It's the cutest thing ever. So this is the latest volume that came out recently that I need to read. But yeah, I've read the entirety of Yotsubato. Goku Shufudo, which I mentioned earlier, which is the way of the house husband. Volume 15 is the very latest volume that came out a few months ago. still need to read it, but basically I'm caught up with this series other than the last volume. So this is another Nichijou manga that I really love. And then I have Konbini no Shimizu, which is another, this is the same mangaka who wrote Hitorikurashi no Koutaro, I believe, or it's Koutaro no Hitorikurashi, I forget which order it is. That became an anime, and it became, it ended up being quite a bit of a hit. But this is like what they wrote before that, and it's kind of basically in the same universe. And this was hilarious. I love this. This whole reason I started reading Koutaro, which is a series I started reading and never really finished. So I need to get back to that. But this is a Nichijou manga that's super, super funny. You won't see a lot of people talking about this, but this is really, really fun. And it's a standalone, so it's good. I am technically, it's not on my currently reading pile, but technically I'm in the middle of this series, which is Barakamon, which the thing is, like, I absolutely loved this series when I was reading it. But when the art changed in the middle, for some reason, or I think that might be the reason, but in the middle, when the art changed, apparently I might have been in the middle of that because I just lost the bookmark, which is Kujima Utaiba. Huh, how cute. I'm going to put that aside. But like I was reading this quite actively, but when the art changed in the middle, it got like a lot more simplistic compared to what it was originally. I think I kind of mentally lost interest and I never went back to it, even though I was really enjoying the series. So I need to get back to this because this is really, really good and I really want to know how it finishes. But it's just one of those things, you have a change in mood, you put something down and then you kind of just like forget to go back to it. It happens. So, but yeah, that's all I have in terms of Nichijou manga. So let's get into Shounen manga. Shounen manga is a genre that I quite like because it's definitely more mature, it's darker, it allows you to go into some themes that you can't really do with other manga. And I definitely need to read a lot more of it. Like, the thing is that like I just read a lot of soccer manga. I really just read a lot of soccer manga, and usually they're very long. So while it feels like I read a lot of manga, it's just like it's soccer. That's all it is. It's just soccer manga. It's just all I read. But in terms of seinen manga, I've read the short duology of Takopi no Genzai. This was fairly dramatic, fairly chaotic, but very good. And the art is absolutely incredible. It's really, really well done. And Takopi is a character that you'll remember for a very long time. I really enjoyed the series Boku Dake ga Inai Machi, which was translated as Erased into English, which is a very short series. I think it was like 7 volumes, maybe 9. And it's basically a mystery series. So it's really great. It's a genre that I want to get into more because the idea of reading, especially since I don't tend to read mystery novels, but I do like watching mystery movies or like a drama series. And this kind of felt like that, where like the characters, they go through a problem, they have to solve the issue, like who's the killer, etc., etc. And I think that works really well in manga format. So he does have another series, and I keep telling myself I need to pick it up and try it. But yeah, I really liked that one. Another series I really loved that I read last year was Kiseiju, which is Parasite. Parasite is an excellent series. Really makes you think, really delves into the idea of humanity and how are we really human? How evil are we? And like, are we maybe the villains of the story? So this was a really good series. I've read the entirety of I Am a Hero. I Am a Hero is a fantastic zombie comic. I would love to read more zombie comics like this. Like I love a good zombie movie, and this series is so good. And I really wish I could read something else like this. Like, I really had fun with this. I've also read the single standalone that he wrote with someone else called I Am a Hero in Osaka. I did read that as well. And then the last seinen I read that was in French a long time ago was Evangelion. I have read the manga of Evangelion, which isn't as strong as the anime, I personally feel. I didn't really connect to it as much as I did the anime, but it is still worth reading. All right, then I have some DNFs, so series that I never finished. Hunter x Hunter should be on this list, but for some reason I put it in the shonen category. But I still feel like I read enough of Hunter x Hunter to be able to say that I don't think I'll be picking it up. But these type of lists are never perfect. But I DNF'd a shoujo manga called Random Walk, I had picked it up because it was by the same author as the one of the previous series I had read. I read 2 out of 3 and I just didn't care to read the 3rd one, so I decided just to get rid of it. I read this one, I read the debut volume of a new mangaka. I read the first volume of what I believe was supposed to be a series, because it did have the number 1 written on the first volume, and that's called 5080. It was supposed to be a sort of a seinen kind of nichijou, so like adult nichijou, about this 50-year-old man living with his 80-year-old parents, because basically he's worthless. He doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. He doesn't really have a job. He doesn't have education. He's a NEET. He's one of those guys. And the thing is, like, about that series is, like, it was kind of, I felt like it's not, I keep saying series, but it's not. Well, at that time it was just one book, and it stopped there. It was canceled after that first volume, but it couldn't decide whether it was going to be like full comedy or like educational or serious. Like, it just couldn't. It kept flopping, and I didn't think it was very strong. So I decided that I was going to end it there, and then the series got canceled anyway, so it didn't matter. I remember this day again. This was with like that shoujo manga that I said that I needed on the train. I also had purchased another volume 1 of another series, which ended up being a duology, called Change R. Like, I just wanted something that looked easy to read for the train, and this was easy to read, but it wasn't good. It could have been a good series, but the mangaka made the storyline go by way too quickly, and because of that you couldn't really like connect to the characters or anything, so it ended up being a duology, and I just stopped with volume 1. So that's change, like the word change, and then -R. Versailles no Bara, The Rose of Versailles, I abandoned that one after 100 pages. I just couldn't get into it. Yowamushi Pedaru, the cycling series, I read the first 2 volumes, decided I didn't want to read it. I wasn't very interested in it. I think it's really well done, but again, I don't know if I like sports manga. I know I like soccer manga, but I'm not sure I like sports manga. So at least with the cycling manga, I decided I wasn't going to keep reading that series. I only read 2 volumes of that. I have read 2 volumes of Futari Echi, which is the Bible for young Japanese boys everywhere. I was in a manga kisa, and Futari Echi, it's everywhere. Everyone knows what it is. And so, out of curiosity, I read 2 volumes, and that's actually really well done. It's actually really well done. It's not something I'm going to buy. It's not something I'm going to collect. It's not something I'm going to read it in its entirety. That's not for sure. But having read 2 volumes of it, like, I understand its popularity. I understand why it's a Bible for young Japanese boys. But, I'm going to give it the respect it deserves. It's actually well done. The characters are actually well done. And yeah, it's basically just constant sex scenes, but it is educational technically. And again, the main characters actually really love each other, and I think that's not so bad of a book for role model when it comes to sex education. So yeah, I respect it. Then there's a series. I read the first volume. I had bought like 1 through 4, and then in excitement, and then I read the first volume, like, ooh, actually this is not for me. That series is called Jisatsu, Suicide Island. And the thing is that, like, it sounded really interesting because it was about like a bunch of kids who are kind of delinquents who are sent to an island, in the idea of them, like, in terms of like re-education. Yeah, re-education. And I thought it could be really, really interesting, and it could dig into some deep topics, but it ended up being like a guidebook to survival, basically. It was really weird. And so I didn't really get it. So I stopped after 1 volume. And then One Piece. I've read 34 volumes of One Piece, and I did stop reading it. However, unlike Hunter x Hunter, this one I would actually enjoy picking back up. The only reason I dropped it is because I was reading it in French. And the thing is that there was a moment, I think, when I was in grad school, and then I graduated from grad school, and then started working, and I think there was like a good 4 years that I didn't go back to France. And within those 4 years, unlike Hunter x Hunter, within those four years, One Piece published a lot of books. A lot of books came out in those 4 years. and it was a lot to buy, and manga is a lot more expensive when you buy it translated, as everyone knows. So, you know, in Japanese, I could buy One Piece used for 100 yen per volume, even cheaper if I get it on sale, while in France, I'd be spending €7 per book. So when you haven't been in France for 4 years, then like there's all of a sudden like 30 books that have been published in the meantime, that adds up to a lot of money very quickly. So I had decided to stop reading One Piece at that time. And I think what will happen is that whenever One Piece is finished in Japanese, once the series is complete in Japanese, at that point, I'll just buy the set and binge through it like any normal human being would do, you know? So that's the idea. So right now it is actually a DNF. It's not currently reading, and it's a DNF in terms of reading it in French. So there you go. I think those are all the manga that I have read in my life. I do believe that is correct. So anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any manga that you think I should read in terms of priority list, definitely let me know. If there's anything modern that you would recommend or something old that you think I'd recommend, either way, whatever you think, definitely leave me what your favorites, what you would recommend, what you hope I will read next, and I will see you in the comments. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.